Okay, so what's up? This is me, Butterfly to Light. I hope you guys can hear me good because I got my earpieces in. And yeah, let's get started. So, this video was requested by someone, and they wanted to know how people with Scorpio moon signs are affected by their mother. Like, what parts, important parts, are their mothers playing when it comes to the development of the person or the effect that they have on the person with the Scorpio moon sign placement. And I want to start by saying that. Second, I want to say that I'm going to put some links to my Scorpio moon video that I've already done in the description box, along with some other videos that I feel like you might find helpful, if need be. Okay. So first, I want to say, in order to really dig into the nitty gritty of the importance of the matter, when we're talking about the moon signs, pardon me, I'm in the garage, so because of that, it's I don't know if you can pick up my sound good or not, but yeah, disclaimer. But anyhow, first we need to start with looking at the moon sign itself and what the moon sign represents for each of us in our individual charts. Well, the moon, when we look into the moon sign, we are speaking of our emotions, so our emotional body, our emotional self, um, even in a level of intuitiveness. Why? Because like whenever you know we're able to feel out when something feels right or don't feel right most of the time before we do it. Okay, so that's where our intuitiveness is connected. Our fears are also associated with our moon sign, because the moon sign is also associated with our subconscious. And a lot of times we store our fears in our subconscious. Well, our fears are stored in our subconscious, and we live it out without knowing that we're living it out most of the time, until we start seeing that, things around us in our life, in our personal life, is just a mess. And we're like, well, how did that happen? Okay. Or we're creating it, unconsciously creating things in our existence. Okay. So we're looking at the moon sign. Then we got to look at the sign of Scorpio. Well, the sign of Scorpio ruled by Pluto and Mars. We got to look at that first. And another disclaimer, recently, well, not really recently, it's not really new, but Pluto was discarded as a planet. But luckily, Scorpio is also ruled by Mars. I honestly find that the representations of Pluto definitely shows up in Scorpio type individuals. The only thing I could think of, when they're about them discarding Pluto as a planet, is the fact that if you think about how the actions of Pluto plays out, to where there's is drastic transformations when a person is kind of like pushed to the point of that transformation. Because if you even think about Scorpios, they don't, a lot of times, they're forced by things around them, just the energy itself to like transform in these drastic ways through a series of events that happens to them and keeps happening to them until they get it. Well, since we are now raising in our level of conscious being, right, and we are evolving, maybe we're getting ourselves to the point of where we don't really need those shoves. We become aware of things, and we can take action on how we change them, right? Isn't that a thought? So I'm going to put a video in the description below called "The Matrix Upgraded," or can we really leave the Matrix? Okay, I'm gonna put that because I feel that it explains more of what I'm talking about. And this was just a disclaimer I have in my crazy little thought process mind. If you've been watching my videos, that I go on these journeys in my mind, just consciousness that I come across, and I share them with others. And I actually find that I come into contact with other people who's had these awarenesses. So it's not crazy, but that disclaimer is over. It's just, I'm saying that Pluto could have been discarded because of our own evolution process. I digress. However, when we think about Pluto, when we think about Mars, we think about Scorpio in itself. let's look at Pluto. Pluto is a planet of rapid transformations, just the upheaval of things in a way to where it seems like it's almost unpredictable, but in reality, it was very predictable. It's things that we seen coming, but we did nothing about almost. But still, in the process of the upheaval, some kind of way we come this growth, this beauty, of what we went through. We see. We didn't know. We were afraid first, but then we seen the importance that it played and the effects that it had on our lives. We got to look at that, and we got to look at Mars. Mars, the aggressor, the passionate energy that moves forward, and it doesn't really look back. It doesn't have any patience to. We're combining that, and we're getting Scorpio. But this is the thing. Scorpio in itself is the ruler of other people's finances, marriages, contracts, when contracts that bind us into something, giving our word, like blood, sweat, and tears. Back then, before they had, hey, sign your name on a dotted line, guess what they did? They cut their finger or their thumb or something, and they put it together, or they smeared it on a piece of paper saying, you know what, this is my blood oath. So in a sense, that's what we contract ourselves to when we sign our name. But that's Scorpio, things that bind us. Also ruler of transformations, like I said, and just intense passion. Okay. So Scorpio is like that contract. Now, what happens when we combine that blood oath contract, other people's finances, through marriage, through inheritances, things of that nature, with the moon sign, we get a very emotional, intensely emotional, sometimes volatile placement where we become contracted to our mothers. Wow. And what does that mean? Some people may say, well, no, I'm not contracted to my mother. I do have that bond with my father. I want to say this because Vedic astrology does sometimes show the mother or the moon, the representation of the moon fitting the masculine role, and the father fitting the nurturer role, the role of the nurturer. So basically what we're saying is that you're contracted to this person that played this nurturing role to you. Now, remember, I like to put in all the ingredients in there because I'm not biased about any of this. This is, I'm giving my perspective, but it's just the energy within itself. You got to remember that. Well, what does that mean? Okay, so now I'm contracted to my mother. Yes, contracted to your mother, no matter how it plays out, whether you had a negative influences with your mother or positive influences with your mother, it really doesn't matter. And the way that plays out, all could turn out more negative on you than positive, especially if your mother was going through some type of trauma that she never got rid of herself, that's what usually happens. And a lot of the times what the mother is doing is inflicting her emotional pains, fears, rejections, negligence, whatever, onto the person with displacement. And that could play out in different forms. Whatever her shortcomings were, whatever she was afraid of, now, boom, she's instilling it into the child or the person with displacement some kind of way. Now, there's always a direct link with the person with displacement, the moon sign individual in their childhood, the past, some kind of way. It's very emotional for them, whether they keep thinking, reminiscing back on it, to either revert back to for support. Like, I don't really know what to do. I'm afraid of the world out there. I need to revert backwards, back into what I knew, or whether they feel like there was something that was inflicted upon them that they can not really escape from. And they keep thinking back in order to change the future. Now they look back at it in order to change the future. And they say, you know what? I can never go back to what happened to me. I can never go back to what happened to me. But they try to change it in a way that actually causes them more pain than it is good, because they're reacting now out of fear. It's always something fearful that they come across, which is in reality getting them, trying to push them to their next level. The transformation, guys, having them have the transformation take place is really what's going on. These things is happening to them to have them have this transformation. Well, what does that mean? Oh my gosh, it could be extremely like ups and downs, back and forth. I'm talking like in a physical way, but a lot of times it happens in an emotional way, whether there's something physical taking place that's emotionally affecting the individual, or whether it's something emotionally taking place that's emotionally taking affecting the individual, or emotionally taking place that's physically affecting the individual physically from moving forward. They keep reminiscing about the past. Let's see some ways that this could play out. One, let's say let's say you had a mother and your mother was emotionally dependent upon you, meaning that the mother will go vent to you or, push her fears off on you in an emotional way. For example, let's say that the mother had a problem with your father, and your mother was like, well, you can't, like, he's this and he's that, he's no good, and I hope you don't be like him. We're going to make sure you don't. Or however she inflicted it, now you're striving to not be like him. And then there's another way. She's talking about maybe how bad men are because of the relationship she had with her father. I'm not saying that this is what happens to every individual. I'm saying that this is ways that it could play out. And my point is that her emotional projection onto the person with displacement plays out. It sticks with this person for a very long time. Whatever you're being instilled emotionally with. And then a lot of times it can be where she just emotionally vents. Maybe she doesn't have anyone else, or she doesn't trust anyone else. And especially like if you're a son and your mother has displacement, you could be the girl too. It doesn't matter. But a lot of times what will happen is if you have the situation with your mother to where like your father is no good to her, or they're broken up, or they left her, whatever the case may be. And she's telling you all the problems, like emotionally venting to you, now is formulating the way you feel about your own father, or the way you feel about yourself as a man. And if you can't live up to what she's predicating upon you as what that should look like, there's just going to be constant fears of, man, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like him. I want to be better. And then you get that mixed up with what you really desire and what you're trying to live out through her, what you've attached yourself with through her. Another way, let me give you an example. Let's say you're someone and your mother said to you, I'm against people that are big. You're looking big. Look at you. Like, we need to do something about that. No man is going to want a big woman, or no man is going to want a woman that looks like a stick. Now, and she keeps obsessing over it. Okay. And let's say she didn't tell that to you, but you will see her always saying, man, that person is big. Ain't no man gonna ever want her. Or that person's hair is nappy. Ain't no man gonna ever want her. Whatever you heard her say. And I said that because this will be real. My videos are not politically correct. So if you come in here for that, I don't do that. Like, they're not politically correct. I talk real world stuff. And we all know that this happens. Okay. And with that being said, hearing this all the time, or hearing it being attached to you some kind of way, you attach yourself to it, whatever the case may be. And now you find yourself as an adult feeling like these are you, this is you, and this is your life, and this is what you're going through. And it could be a situation to where you even strive to make sure you're not big, or your hair ain't nappy, whatever the case may be. And then you're in a situation with a guy, or in a relationship, or whoever. I'm just giving this example. The relationship is over. He wants to leave. You're attached to that. Like, why do you want to leave? It's because of my size, isn't it? It's because of my size. Or let's say you made sure you were in shape because you dreaded being that overweight person. And you can say, why do you want to leave? I'm in shape though. Look at my body. Like, I'm in shape. My hair ain't nappy. My hair is straight. And he could say, what, baby? I love your size. I love your size. You've always been beautiful. Your hair is on point every single time. No, it's not that. The relationship is just over. Like, you know it. I know it. It has nothing to do with the way that you look. And some kind of way, even though you hear this, there's still some type of attachment there to want to believe that no, it's this. And you want to relate to what this person, the reason why this person wants to leave or wants to have the relationship be over with, to the way that you look, from the way that your mother and the way that your mother was feeling about somebody that looks a certain way or acts a certain way. Now you got to remember, a lot of the times it's playing out because it was done to her. It's different levels of the way that it was done to her, you know, depending on her own unique experience. And there could be levels of abuse, emotionally or sexually. It doesn't matter. And sexual abuse could have happened to this person, and they live out their sexual experience in ways that are either like really promiscuous or either highly afraid of the sexual experience or the intimacy. And it could also lead to commitment phobia, especially in men. In women, it could lead to the fear of someone constantly cheating on you. You're not being able to trust them. Men, it's the same coin, just different sides. The men, commitment phobia, commitment phobia. Why? Well, you got to look into it deeper. Being, not really being able to commit out of fear that something's going to go wrong, or I really don't want nobody to cheat on me. I might cheat on this person, or they might do me wrong. Can't trust her. She might say she's at her friend's, but she's really at somebody else's house. I don't really want to put myself out there. All right. But what I'm saying is that, or just just not really understanding how to connect sexually with your emotions, like intimacy issues. But the mother, even if this person with displacement didn't suffer any type of abuse, the mother could have, and then in return is inflicting that, living it out through the child. Whether she's saying, don't be like this or don't be like that, or telling you to be in a way to where she's obsessing over stuff, and emotionally, you may not even really know what was going on with her, but it just emotionally, the way she's showing up is showing up like somebody that's afraid of commitment, or somebody that doesn't really know how to be intimate in a loving, caring way. But let's just say that your mother does know how to show up and be loving and caring, but at the same time, she projects her beliefs onto you. So she's loving and caring, but like I said, she may say things like, who would want to be with a big woman? Who would want somebody that's as skinny as a stick? Don't ever be like that. Whatever it is. Okay. And furthermore, let's go with the commitment issues. A lot of times with the men, what will happen is they'll look for a female, right? Because it depends on if their experience was good with the mother or not so good with the mother. Either way, if the experience was good with the mother or not so good with the mother, it's still something about it that it's like a love-hate relationship with the mother. For different reasons. You may not even be consciously aware of this, for different reasons. It could be you love your mother, she was there for you, but at the same time you hate the hold that she has on you. Like, man, I want to do this over here, but she wants me to be married, or she wants me to do this and that. Some kind of way, it just feels like you're attached to what she has going on. All right. But the man, with this being said, the man could try to find a woman that is like his mother some kind of way. And then when he can't find that relationship, he could get a good daggone woman. It doesn't even matter. If he cannot some kind of way emulate that relationship, or like she doesn't have that tie with him, or it doesn't show up, if she's even giving him a certain level of freedom, he could be afraid of it, or he could fear that and not want to commit to it. But if she's showing up like his mother, he could not like that. But then again, if she's not, he could, and let's say she's in his life to show him something different, to pull him into a different direction, he can despise that at the same time. He could be afraid of it, not really despise it, but it's showing up like he despises it. But he could be afraid to commit to that, not really knowing what to expect. And then the mother could have something against the female that's pulling him out of the direction of what she's prepared for him, taught him, or what she meant to him. Okay? So you got that playing out, but just an all right fear of commitment that comes out of it, or just showing up in a way that is some people with displacement can be abusive, in a way to where they emotionally neglect people, or it could be in another type of way, and they're not really aware that they're doing it. They think that that's a form of showing love. The men with displacement 82 could be like, come close but leave, and they're trying to see what your interactions. It could be manipulative in the process, the overall process of it, but they're not really, when it comes back, they're just trying to learn how to trust. They're just trying to learn how to trust their feelings. They're just trying to move past their fears. Like I said, the women, so that's the commitment phobia, but the women that are afraid of what could happen being committed to a man, or just someone in general, they could fear that this person's going to leave them, be cheating on them constantly, they're not worthy, or they're not good enough, or well, that's what they could be feeling on the inside, but it could be coming off as to the other person for all around with displacement, that the other people may see this person as somebody that's either extremely stuck up on this high horse, think they're better, all of these things, because they feel like this person is always emotionally out of reach, or either withdrawn to the point of where they're like, yeah, you think you're better. You think you got all these women running around. You think this, you think that, but the person is really trying to preserve their energy and protect themselves. That's another one that I see. This placement, because we spoke about the moon being intuitive. This placement is definitely highly intuitive. And what happens is, a lot of times, it doesn't really feel the need to communicate and vocalize what it feels all the time. Now, where could this have came from? This could have been an aspect of like the mother, like being younger, and the mother talking to you, venting to you, or telling you something, teaching you something, but not really wanting any response in return. Like, you went to go speak up and she could have been like, well, shut up, or, no, that's unacceptable, or either you were just a listening ear. She came to you, she didn't have anybody else really, and she was just talking, like driving a car and just expressing things in a way to where like you would see her break out and crying, or you would see her struggling through stuff, like putting up with stuff that she didn't need to put up with, or like taking, or just she went through changes in her life. Because you could have either went through drastic changes, ups and downs, back and forth in your life, or she could have in her life that played on down, or like that affected you on a deeper level, But whatever the case may be, it wasn't, you weren't really verbalizing, you were taking it all in, her venting, you were taking it all in, things you seen, you were taking it all in. It wasn't really, you didn't have the chance to really speak up or say anything back. It was kind of like, well, what I say goes type thing. So this could be playing out as you, when you need to communicate, when you need to express yourself, when you need to, make your feelings known, you don't. And you expect people to kind of just intuitively feel what that is, and they don't. It gets lost in the interpretation. Okay? And even if they do, for a while, I mean, it could, you really got to look into this, because it could be become a relationship that is more codependent whenever you manipulate it to where, well, this person has to come and make me feel comfortable and secure. What are you learning? You're learning to be secure within your own self, within your own feelings. You're learning to break free of the teachings of the mother in order for you to go and live your own life. Are the teachings of the mother necessary? Yeah. But not when it comes to the point of where you're so attached to them that you are fearful to live your own life and fearful to really go outside of that for whatever reason. You gotta be willing to look at the transformations, the things that are showing you the transformation that's coming up, and go through that transformation on your own, voluntarily, without it coming and just knocking you completely off your feet to where it's like throwing you back and forward. You think you're used to something, you think you got something together, and boom. No, you can look into it. You can see it coming. Why? Well, with a partner, this is the way that we usually determine where we're at, who we're attracting, how we're responding and reacting to them. A partner comes in and you see them like confused, or there's some type of emotional attachment to where like either the person is really clingy, or you're really clingy to them, or there's things that's going unsaid and unvoiced. You can easily start by saying, let me voice my emotions the way I feel. Let me express myself to this person, and not look at it as weak. because they got the advantage of you. No, because it's one thing to sit up and just lose yourself when it comes to relate to another person, but it's another thing to sit up and say, you know what, this is how I feel, man. And you can also start by voicing your opinion to your mother, you know, letting her hear your truth. You know, sometimes you gotta say, you know, Mom, I appreciate you, I love you, I am grateful for everything that you showed me. Or what you weren't grateful of, you can say that too. But I'm my own person now, and I make the decisions that I make because that's how I want to live my life. You can now make yourself heard. You can become interested in other things outside of what you were taught and not be afraid of it. You can move past your emotional fears of commitment, of just abandonment issues, whatever happened to you on the emotional level at a young age that you store in your subconscious, that you think that you settled or you ignored, whatever, that you think shouldn't be affecting you, but really deep inside it is. Okay? So I'm going to stop there because I don't want to keep going on and on and on. But this has been Scorpio moon signs and their mothers. You are free to add comments. You are free to email me. Just go to my description box and find out what my email address is. And if you want me to go more into this subject matter, things of that nature. And thank you as always. It's been me, Butterfly Twilight. Peace.